Okay, let's get started. Welcome to Inside Schools, NYC 3K Pre-K and Elementary School. We're going to try to simplify things as much as we can. Perhaps some of you have been to the Department of Ed presentations. I've been to a couple, and they've been quite good too. Everyone offers slightly different way of wording things, but the same information. So hopefully this will be helpful to you today. This is our agenda. I'm going to do an overview of the New York City public schools. There's a lot of people here today who have little kids, and they're just stepping into this big bureaucracy. I will go over your options, what to look for, and how to apply and enroll. I'm Leidy Rashka, and I'm doing the English event. Gigi, who's been saying hello to you, is doing the Spanish event after this, a half an hour later. I'm a New York City public school parent, former. I've taught pre-K grades 1, 2, and 3. I'm a graduate of Bank Street College, and I am trained in Montessori. So New York City schools, a snapshot. First of all, the DOE, which we refer to a lot, means Department of Education. The Department of Education is the umbrella organization for all the public schools in all 5 boroughs in New York City. It's an enormous school system. It is the largest system of school choice in the country. So you have to apply at 3K if you want 3K, at pre-K if you want pre-K, again at kindergarten, for middle school, and for high school. So New York City gives you choices for better or worse. And that's why what we're discussing today. There are nearly 800 elementary schools and programs. A school may have different programs inside, such as a dual language program, which might be 1 classroom per grade. A gifted and talented program might be in a general elementary school. So there are programs within schools in some instances. There are more than 1,000 3K and pre-K options. So you will apply in the calendar year that your child turns 3, if you want to get into 3K, 4 for pre-kindergarten, and 5 for kindergarten. The Department of Ed is quite hard and fast about these rules. I don't know of anyone who's gotten an exception to them. So the calendar year, January to December 31st, the year that your child turns 3, sometime in January, February, and 4, you will apply to 3K or pre-K. And just to repeat, you must apply to get into 3K, pre-K, and kindergarten. Now, some people say, well, why do I have to apply again if my child is already in a 3K or pre-K? And it's because New York City gives families choices. And there, I'll be going over this, but there are not enough 3K seats for all families in the city. There are enough pre-K seats, and there is a guaranteed seat also for kindergarten. So where do we begin? The first thing I would suggest is to find your zoned school. And the zoned school is this. So first of all, the city, remember the umbrella, the Department of Ed, oversees 32 school districts. And on the left side of this screen, you will see a map that shows where the 32 school districts are. So for example, districts 1 through 6 are in Manhattan, and then 7 through 12 are in the Bronx, and here's Brooklyn, or here's Queens, and here's Brooklyn, and Staten Island is its own entire school district, District 31. District 75 are special ed programs, and each one of these districts, so let's look at District 4 for a minute, this tiny little district in East Harlem, is divided like a jigsaw puzzle into zones. And these zones, each one has a little red dot, and that is your zoned public school, elementary. So every child has a guaranteed spot if you apply to your zoned, almost guaranteed, there are exceptions, of course, to your zoned public kindergarten. As you can see by the jigsaw puzzle, because we're a big city, it might not be that it's the school closest to your house, but it's pretty close. There are 3 websites that we feel that you really need to know about, we think. Inside Schools is our website, and what we offer that's different than New York City, My Schools, or the New York City Department of Education is how we look at quality. We also have searches that are personalized for you, close to home, and we also have school picks, special ed picks, and different ways that we try to help parents. Oh, we also have guides, how to look at a school when you go on a tour, videos. The Department of Ed has some of these things too, so you might want to use all these resources. The other site you need to know is My Schools. My Schools will have, it's the directory of all the New York City public schools. It used to come in a big book, and now it's online. So the directory has the most up-to-date list of 3Ks, especially, and pre-Ks. Some parents are telling us they're not finding the 3K near their house that they're interested in. Well, then reach out to that 3K. But you should know that pre-K and 3K application season is not open yet. It opens in late January. So the DOE is most likely still adding programs, and the most up-to-date list will be on My Schools. Okay, and then let me just show you My Schools for a minute. Whoops. This is what My Schools looks like. And you can log in, you can create a new account. You can do that today if you're new to the system. You can browse without making an account, which I often do. And you can check a calendar with upcoming events. So the Department of Ed goes over My Schools and how to work it in great depth and wonderful videos. And I recommend you go there for learning how to use My Schools. We're mostly going to show you other resources today. And then the Department of Ed website. This also has a list of the schools, and it has other resources. Oops, sorry, folks. Under each school. But most important today, I'd like you to sign up for email alerts. They will tell you the latest information you need to know for your age child. You can sign up just for email alerts for 3K or pre-K or kindergarten. Just again, an overview, 3 kindergarten, the legal limit is 15 children plus 2 adults. There are home-based or family childcare settings, often smaller. Pre-kindergarten is 18 children with 2 adults. Kindergarten is 25 children and 1 adult. These are legal limits, and there may be differences. Some kindergartners may have another adult. They all use Department of Ed approved curriculum. So let's talk about 3K and pre-K. And I'm going to show only one video during this presentation. It's just 4 minutes long, and it's narrated by a pre-K expert, and I think it's worth taking a look.
Good morning, Madison.
When parents are dropping their child off in the morning, a teacher or the teacher assistant should greet that family at the door.
Good morning, how are you?
And there should be a check-in. How was the night? How was your morning? So that the teacher can best prepare to meet the needs of that child that day.
You can choose some Legos, you can work on some numbers, drawing.
It's very important for a parent to feel comfortable about leaving their child in a space where people are going to pay attention to their individual child's needs and also stimulate their child's curiosity.
Head, shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes.
Parents want a classroom that is both stimulating and nurturing. Children should be allowed to use the bathroom as soon as they need to use the bathroom. It's not wise or acceptable to make 4-year-olds wait for bathroom times. Children in high-quality programs should be outdoors every single day. It's an essential part of learning that children are using their whole bodies in joyful and playful activities outdoors in fresh air.
I want you here, but you're not.
Children need a lot of words in order to become good readers. The first thing we look for is how many words do they know and whether they're using those words in good conversation.
Because your daddy come back.
Yeah, they come back. And what do you
Back
do
and
when you
forth
see your
conversation with adults, with other children.
I found one piece of the turtle. Yeah, but let's find number one before.
Children learn language when they make believe because they're experimenting with new ideas.
Could you tell me what you're building?
A castle.
A castle.
They negotiate, they communicate, they use new words.
Start with your,
Construction blocks.
you start with your construction block.
They experiment with things that they've seen adults do, and they learn all kinds of concepts by making believe.
In a ramp.
And you have a ramp to get into the castle.
Yeah, one that people can walk up.
The people can walk up.
One that can slide down.
Oh, and you can slide down on the ramp too?
Yeah.
Oh, you can.
Children learn best when they are actively participating in the learning. In pre-K, they learn through play. They have to use their hands and their bodies. They have to play with the stuff.
There you go. And it makes it look big.
Children learn science every day, all day, because they come out of the womb wondering how things work. And that's really what science is. And so in good classrooms, there's all kinds of opportunities for children to experiment with scientific concepts.
I notice he's using his antenna. Those two little things that are moving.
I got eyes.
He does have eyes. That's how he knows where to go.
Lots of things happen in a classroom of 4-year-olds that have to do with math. When children are counting things, when they are simply building with blocks and adding to the structure and taking away from the structure, those are all very, very powerful pre-math skills that help ensure children will be successful mathematicians as they grow older.
I have a friend, her name is Genevieve.
When you get a really great pre-K classroom, you get magic.
Hands, Genevieve. Genevieve, go wash your hands.
You get children who can't wait to get there and love being there, and you have families who feel that they're doing a great thing for their children when they bring them.
Okay.
You're welcome. Have an amazing weekend.
Okay, moving on. Just briefly, other things to look for in early childhood and also in kindergarten. Of course, you want the staff and principal to have great respect for children. You can hear that in the tone, in the setup of the classroom, in the orderliness. Location and safety are always top priorities, and clear and predictable routines add to safety for children, a feeling of safety. Children should know they are known. You will hear the teacher using the child's name. That's kind of a marker of, children knowing that they matter in the class. And you'll often see children's names, like where they hang their coat or where they have their snack. Orderly classroom and stimulating classroom, interesting stuff that makes you interested when you look around. A lot of schools and programs are doing in-person tours. Teachers fostering independence in terms of putting on their coat or letting kids set out the snack. And enough space to gather, so a rug that has enough space for children and adults and enough room to roam, which is tricky in New York City, but they should definitely be outside every day. Diversity, there's lots of research that shows diversity, racial economic diversity is beneficial to all children. There's an article I'll send after this presentation in The Atlantic about how being around people who are different makes us more creative, more diligent, and harder working. And another research I'll send out about how teachers of color have higher expectations for students of color when compared with white teachers. Some research shows this. So these are some things, very few things to look out for. Most of all, trust your instincts. There will be a 3K or pre-K that looks like, and kindergarten that look right to you, that fit your family. And keep in mind, no school is perfect. My schools. So my schools, as I mentioned earlier, I wanted to just show you a little bit of browsing. You can go to any level. You can look for 3K, pre-K. Now this is a sort of a repeat after me moment. Remember, pre-K and 3K admissions are not open yet. So you can browse, you can set up an account, but you won't be able to start building your list of up to 12 choices because they are not open yet. What's open right now is kindergarten. Kindergarten applications are open till January 20th. So you have some time. It's not first come, first serve. You have time to build a list. When you've, logged in and made an account, you can start building a list and changing it around. So when you make a list of up to 12 choices for 3K, pre-K, and kindergarten, you'll have more priority at some schools than you will at other schools. So your child has priority to attend their zoned school. Do you remember the jigsaw puzzle? So districts are bigger, zones are smaller, and they'll have priority for their zone school, but not all zone schools have 3K and pre-K. There's not enough room. So we'll talk about where those are. And there are 3 districts that don't have zones at all. You just apply to any school in the district and it's like a lottery. And those are districts 1, 7, and 23. But almost everybody has a zone school. So another priority is the programs or schools that are in your district. Remember districts, there's 32 of them. So you'll have priority for those. The program where you have a sibling already enrolled, that's a very high priority, especially if it's in the zone. The program or school where this child is currently a student is a priority, and gifted and talented, we'll talk more about that, gives priority to families with siblings and those who live in the district. So 3 kindergartners born 2020. There's various settings for 3K. There are early education centers. So when 3K came into the city, like around 2016, they started with the areas of New York City where they saw the greatest need. And it's not available for, there's not enough seats for every family, but a pretty high percentage get into 3K who apply. And early childhood education centers is a huge umbrella category that includes Head Starts, which is free year-round, up to 10 hours a day. It includes extended day and year, just like it sounds, for your low-cost care around the clock. Up to 8 to 10 hours a day, but it also includes private schools that have free 3K and pre-K because they've contracted with the Department of Ed. It includes some parochial schools like Lutheran schools and Catholic schools and yeshivas that have contracted for free 6 hours and 20 minutes. Those schools would not teach religion during the period of time, 6 hours and 20 minutes that they are offering 3K or pre-K, but they might have religious instruction at other parts of the day. The Department of Ed public schools, also called district schools, they have some 3Ks. I'll show you how many. Pre-K centers only some have 3K. Pre-K centers are kind of nice. They came in 2014 when pre-K came in. There wasn't enough space in some districts. So the DOE, lease space in all kinds of different settings, sometimes an old closed parochial school or in a old storefront. And I visited quite a few of these and they're really quite nice. They're just for little kids, 3 and 4-year-olds, not always 3-year-olds. Pre-K centers, they're all over and they're a great option. Home-based or family childcare in residential settings are often very cozy, 3Ks, but they're only open to 3K. So as I said before, the limited seats priority is based on income, your district, and other needs. So these are the districts where 3K is guaranteed for every 3-year-old. I'm not going to read these all out, but you can see them on the My Schools or on the DOE site. So I'm just going to look at the priorities for 3K and zone public schools. Always check My Schools for these. These priorities aren't going to be seen yet on My Schools. Remember, the application season isn't open, but the top priority is zoned with enrolled sibling, keeping in mind there's not a zoned 3K for every child. Zone children in the district with a sibling, out of district with a sibling, and then in district and out of district. So if you're applying to a 3K and you're out of district, you can see your chances are less. So how will I know which 3K is best for my child? I would start close to home, looking at the maps, both on My School and on Inside Schools. We have a map view. I would research online. I would walk around and look at the settings from the outside. I have done that in my own neighborhood, all different kinds of settings. It tells you quite a bit. I would check the school stats on our site, and I would visit the Department of Ed calendar of admissions. They have events. Sometimes those are tours, sometimes they're just online events. And you can also reach out to the school or program directly. So let's look at our site, Inside Schools. Here's PS 304, a school that serves 3K, pre-K, and K through 5. This is a staff pick. Here's where it's located. And you can look at the map. There it is. Okay. So sometimes we have a little write-up of a school. We do not have a lot of write-ups for 3K programs. There's too many, we're too small. But this one has a write-up for the whole school. But what I'm interested in today and what we can offer you really as a lot of help is our school stats. If you click on these green bars, you'll see apples. Green is better than average, yellow and red. And you can see if the school is safe and well run. Teachers love the principal. Principals had 2 years experience. The children perform pretty much at the citywide average on test scores. Here's the pre-K. The pre-K, the most recent data we have because of the pandemic is 2019 to 2020. And you're looking from 1 to 3 stars in various areas. I would just look for outliers, like all 1 stars, because mostly people, pre-Ks have pretty similar ratings. So I'm just looking for outliers there. Who does the school serve? Attendance is always an important factor. And how many pre-K seats? There's 36, 15 3K seats. Okay, those might be filled by siblings in the zone. And you can look at more DOE data there. We also have a comments feature down here. People can write in. All right. All right, I'm not going to show this video, but it's a good one. It's elementary school, what to look for on a school tour. You can find it under resources on our homepage. Here's the resources. The other thing I want to show you on Inside Schools is our guides. So we have one for 3K and pre-K. We have one for elementary school. With our guides, you're just answering a few questions, putting in I'm going to put in the cheesy pizza on Broadway. Okay. So there we go. That tells me my zone school, Emily Dickinson, PS 75. I can learn more about it. Staff pick for special ed. This is how far it is from my home. I can add it to my favorites. See this little head in the corner? I can make an account and add schools. And then there's other schools nearby. So you just click on Emily Dickinson and you can get that page with pictures, school stats, etc. Okay. All right, pre-K settings. Born 2019 settings. Again, early education centers, Department of Ed's public schools, and pre-K centers. The only thing that's different is there's no home-based. And every 4-year-old is guaranteed a spot. It might not be in your zone school. It might not be as close as you want it, but you're guaranteed a spot. where the pre-K seats are. This is just kind of fun to know. So, you know, in the red, that's district schools. These are NYC, but these are also, this is a little bit funny the way it's arranged, but there's Head Starts. Those are free up to 10 hours year round, religious schools, very few half day, pre-K centers, very few charter school pre-Ks. Okay, we're back to priorities for pre-K and zoned public school. This is your jigsaw puzzle, your neighborhood school. Current students in 3K if they have it. And again, exactly the same, zoned with sibling, zone children, in district with sibling, out of district, etc. Let's talk about kindergarten. Your choices are, of course, your zone school. And I would look that up if you don't know what it is. And if you like your zone school, your search for schools is done because, you know, you can put that on your application along with other choices. I wouldn't put it as the only one, but you'll have the highest priority there. The other options you have are, for instance, other zone schools. It's not your zone school, but it's other zone schools you can apply. And if there's room, you can possibly get in. Charter schools, non-zone schools, which are open to anyone without that zone priority. Schools with a gifted and talented program and with dual language. So these are other options you have. Why do you have options in New York City? Because New York City is a system of school choice. So let's look at 3 of these options. Dual language. So dual language is taught in a variety of ways, but on our guided search that I showed you on the homepage, if you click on elementary, one of the questions will say, are you interested in dual language? And if you are, it will give you a list of all the dual language and how many in each language there are in the city. So I recommend you give that a try. The goal is to read, write, and speak in both English and the target language. And sometimes it's done by alternating days. Sometimes it's like morning and afternoon. So there's different ways that it's done. You can ask the school how it's taught. Now, charter schools, I kind of want to say, just don't worry about this yet because the application's April 1st. But if you want to look further, I guess I would start with this last link here. Our rundown of charter networks will send you these links. It just says, you know, what is a network is a bunch of charters under one umbrella. And it says, what's the flavor and the tone of this network versus this network? Plus, we have some favorite mom and pop charters. And the Charter School Center has some wonderful graphics that show you where and how they perform. And charter schools are free. They just follow different rules. They set out their own plan, their own charter in conjunction with, say, State University of New York or with the Department of Ed. And they have slightly different rules. One of the most obvious common ones, but not always, is a longer school day and a longer school year. But charters vary a lot. Gifted and talented. As you could see, it's not a big percentage of kids who attend gifted and talented in the city. There are K through 5 programs. We're only going to talk about kindergarten admittance today. So this is brand new this year. It's kind of throwing people off a little bit, but you're going to apply to gifted and talented on the same general kindergarten application, up to 12 spaces, and some will be gifted and talented. If you apply, you'll be evaluated by your current pre-K teacher, and that's not going to happen until after you apply, which kind of seems cart before the horse, but that's how they're doing it this year. So you won't even know if your child is eligible for G&T until after you apply, and you won't be considered unless you apply. So if you put G&T anywhere in your application, the pre-K teacher will evaluate your child. Those who are not in a New York City public school must also apply to G&T, and then they'll be contacted for an interview. So, for example, if you were to put, like, your first 3 choices are G&T, and then your 4th choice is something else, non-G&T. If you're not eligible, those first 3 choices are not considered, and this is considered, as I understand it, then it's your first choice and you have the same chances as other children who would put that first. It's like the G&T choices. If you're not eligible, they're just whisked away. So this is all done by a very complicated algorithm. If you're entering G&T in grades 1 through 3, the DOE says on their site right now that there will be more info soon. There are 5 G&Ts in the city. most GNTs are 1 class per grade in a district school, but there are 5 citywides, which used to be, kids had to take a test, 4-year-olds had to take a test. That's not the case anymore. They're screened in a way that I don't know much about the screening. If someone does, we'd love to know more, but the citywides are also part of this regular kindergarten application. So if you want your child to be considered, put that on your application. So the application on My Schools will list up to 12 choices. We do not recommend that you put just 2 or 3 in the hopes that they'll give you one of those, but that you put more, as many as you would consider sending your child to. Don't put anything on the list that you don't want your child to attend. Rank them in your absolute true preference order. So your top favorite choice first. You'll automatically be placed on a wait list for all the choices above the one you got. So that's kind of nice. If you're on a wait list, then if things move later in the summer, they'll let you know. Say you got your 3rd choice and you're on the wait list for number 1 and 2. And then I recommend you take a look at the list of diversity and admissions schools, including for G&T, where they take a percentage of children. Here it is. This is on the NYC Department of Ed page. So for each of these, they have a list of the schools that participate. It might be like 35% of the seats are going to go to children who are income eligible or multilingual learners or in temporary housing. So those are some strong schools on those lists. Another one of these pages, and it's sort of the same thing over and over. Kindergarten priority for zone public schools. Top priority is if you live in the zone, you have a sibling in the school. And then down the list, just like before. But you're always checking My Schools for these priorities. And you see, if you have a student in pre-K and you live in the district, that is a priority, but it's not the top. Okay. You can research your options online. Again, I just want to show you the elementary school guided search. You'll put in your address and answer a few questions, including whether you want dual language, G&T, and then it'll give you a personalized list. We have a brochure under resources that you can take with you on school tours. These are things, this is double-sided, I'm only showing one side, that we look at when we visit a school. And here's a timeline of important dates. So just remember 3K and pre-K are not open yet, but they say they will open in January. And then, we'll send you this image. You can take a screenshot if you like. And then how you apply, once you've been given a school, there will be a date when the Department of Ed says, okay, by this date, we want you to pre-register your child. And at that point, you will, well, I'm sorry, this page is about applying. So there are 3 ways to apply. Most people apply on My Schools. That's what we recommend. That's what the DOE recommends. But you can also apply at a family welcome center. These are in every borough. You can reach out to them. You can find where their contact information on the DOE site. Here's how you pre-register. It used to be you brought your child and all of these, this paperwork, and some schools are going back to that way, and some have other ways that they get this information. The school will let you know. Now, even if you register your child, or once you register your child, if you get one for the 3rd choice, and then off the wait list you move and you got the 2nd choice, then you can switch, even if you've registered. Students with special needs, we recommend you reach out to Include NYC. We do have special ed picks on our website. They have a helpline, text or call. They are fantastic. They also hang out on Inside Schools Plus, our community forum, where you can ask us any question, anytime. Advocates for Children is a legal organization to make sure kids are served well, protecting every child's right to learn. And these are ways you can reach out to us. Again, Inside Schools Plus, we recommend you join because we're right there answering questions all the time. And one more time, I wanted to give you the important links. And we will send the important links too. All right, if people have questions, I'm going to ask Laura to read them to me rather than try to manage the chat myself. So Laura, maybe you could come onto the screen.
Oh, sure.
Hi, Laura. This is Laura Zingmond. She's my colleague at
Hi.
Inside School.
I have been answering some already. But I wanted to, we'll start with a general one. Somebody asked, where's a good website for ratings on schools?
Inside Schools is good for, first of all, we have comments from families in the school. Some people also use other sites. You know, we don't recommend them so much. We recommend our site because we like how we've presented the data, and we feel it's a more nuanced, really, we're New Yorkers. There's also great schools and others like real estate connected sites you can just Google around.
And I should say our data is the most up-to-date available. We don't gather the data ourselves. We actually pull it from official sources.
And the data's a little
Department
behind.
of Education, the DOE, and then we synthesize it, and including from the Learning Environment Survey, test scores, everything. And I did share in the chat sections, and somebody asked about how we define staff pick. I actually shared a link, how we evaluate schools, and you can read about that. That's in the chat section. Somebody asked about eligibility based on year. If a child is born in October 2019, you're eligible for pre-K. So Lighty, if you wanted to just reinforce the year for this current year for applying for a seat in 2023, what are the years born that qualify for the three levels?
So if your child's born in, and correct me if I'm wrong, 2020, then they're eligible for 3K, 2019 eligible for pre-K, 2018 eligible for kindergarten, born in that calendar year. And remember, the admissions for kindergarten is happening now through January 20th, and the 3K and pre-K admissions will open late January. So you can just really enjoy your holidays and not worry about it too much right now.
Now, a few people asked about zone schools. One person asked if they don't list their zone school at all and then don't get into any of the schools they apply to, will they be assigned to their zone school? And someone a similar question, if they rank their zone school maybe third or fourth, but not the highest, they don't get into the ones they ranked higher, will they automatically get into their zone school?
First of all, if you don't put your zone school down, the Department of Ed will assume you don't want to be in your zone school.
And this is for kindergarten, really.
Yeah,
that it applies. There's never a guarantee.
Right. If you put your zone school somewhere on the list, remember you have high priority for that school, so there's a likelihood, but no guarantees. If you do not get any schools on your list and you did not put your zone school on the list, you'll have to take an extra step and put your zone school on the wait list. And then they'll do everything they can. Again, your priority will go up because you're in the zone, but it's not guaranteed. So if you like your zone school at all, put it somewhere on your application, and they're going to consider your true preference order. But of course, as you saw, your priority there is higher.
And Lighty, just because I may have answered it slightly differently and I may have been incorrect, I want to be clear because I know you have been taking a deep dive. The DOE tweaks these rules every year. So I also know for high school, if you don't get into anyone, the DOE will assign you to a school near your home, which if it's your zone school, there are very few zoned high schools, but if you have one, it will be your zone school, providing there's still capacity. Will that be the case in kindergarten, or you're not actually assigned to a school? You'll just have to go on the wait list. You're not automatically assigned to a school.
They'll put you in a school close to home, and that may or may not be your zone school, depending. So that will be the fallback choice.
You sort of covered it, but somebody was asking about dual languages. How to apply.
You apply on My Schools. There will be what they try to do in dual language programs is 50% English and 50% the target language. They do not always meet those numbers. You can ask the programs, and on My Schools it will outline what you need to do for dual language.
And our elementary school guided search, you can search by language, like to
Yes,
see all the
yeah.
programs.
Yeah.
And here's a busing question, and Gigi, feel free to jump in. How is busing determined for the citywide G&T programs? My understanding is you don't qualify for busing to a program outside your borough.
I actually want to refer people to the busing page at the schools.nyc.gov. It's very thorough. It shows exactly who, how far away from home, who gets Metro cards, who gets busing. I don't really have all that information in my head, so I want to refer you to that page. We'll send the link after the profile, after this presentation.
District. Let's see. Oh, somebody just shared the thing. If already in a district pre-K program, however, not zone school, do you have priority for kindergarten at that district pre-K program? So you're in a district pre-K program, but that's not your zone school. It's just a school in your district. Do you have priority to stay at that school for kindergarten?
Okay, so it'll be depending, it'll be one priority, and you should check that program's priorities when, this is for pre-K, right? So when the pre-K admission season's open, you should check the priorities for that pre-K. It will be one of the priorities. So if each setting has different priorities. I didn't go through every single setting, like the difference for early childhood centers. I did zoned. So you'll have to check my schools for the priorities in that instance.
Now, G&T, now this is something where a few parents have a version of it. Is there any way to determine, parents don't want to waste a spot on their thing if they don't think their child will be nominated. Should you just ask the teacher, are you going to nominate my child? It's should you
you know what,
is there any source of information where you can sort of assess? I mean, it's I'm so sorry that
I'm not gonna say that because I don't know. I just don't know. It's a new way of doing it, and it's a little bit squishy, you know. So I think if you feel that your child would be better served in a G&T setting, that you should at least put it in one slot. 12 is a lot of choices anyway. And so if you're interested in G&T, put it in a slot and your child will be considered. But I don't know. I don't know if pre-K teachers are going to say, hey, you know, so I don't know. I really don't. And if someone does, please reach out to us on Inside School Plus and let us know.
okay.